Yo, what's going on, everybody? So I'm back with another Q&A, and first of all, I have to say thank you so very much for 80,000 subscribers. Before I get into the Q&A, I want to explain to some of you newer viewers why 80,000 is such a huge number for me, okay? There are obviously channels that have way more than 80,000 subscribers. There are channels that have way less. Now, this is the thing, when it comes to my YouTube story, this is actually the second channel that I've started. My first channel was called Kryptonian Saiyan, which I actually just got back a few months ago, but on Kryptonian Saiyan, I used to do Dragon Ball and Naruto and One Piece, Fairy Tail. I did a lot of variety anime, much in the same way the Anime Ball Steeps does. Obviously, we have different styles or whatnot. And so I had got to 81,681 subscribers. And what was so crazy is that I was projected to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of August. And YouTube shut that channel down without any warning, without any copyright strikes, without any community guideline strikes. Their bot, their algorithm, whatever it was, they made a mistake, and it took them almost 9 months to acknowledge the fact that my channel never should have been taken down. And so for me to have gotten back to this point, and for the channel to actually have surpassed that number of subscribers, this is a truly humbling experience. And so I want to thank you guys so much for the support that you show me. It means the absolute world to me. And I want to say one final thing before we get into the Q&A. You know, I've talked about this in passing a couple of times, and because this is a Naruto channel, obviously you guys are used to flashbacks, but you know, for me, you know, when that channel got shut down last year, you know, that was one of the hardest years for me as a person. I mean, a woman that I was in love with was brutally taken from me. She essentially had her life taken, and she was brain dead. And that's something that messed me up, because take everything else away, that was somebody that I had known for several years, and I was very close to him, so that messed me up. And then 10 days later, somebody who I loved like a brother dies of a heart attack, almost a year to the date from when he lost his wife. It was a few months before he lost his wife, less than 2 months from when she died. And so 2018 wasn't the best year, and when the channel got shut down, I was worried that I was going to lose my job. And you know, YouTube was essentially what I was going to rely on. That was going to be that one thing where I said, okay, I'm just going to completely go for it. I do well enough to where I can afford to take a leap of faith. Student loans be damned, I'm just going to go all the way for it, you know, because I work for a politician, and you know, at any given moment, you know, my job could have been taken away from me. And so it was one of those moments where everything, when they say shit hit the fan, shit hit the fan. And so I just want to thank you guys for this support, man. Again, it means the world. And so I said, drop your questions for the 81,000 Q&A. No topic is off limits, from Naruto to other anime to anything you want to ask. Please keep it down to one question per person, so everyone gets a chance to be answered. As of today, we officially surpassed the original channel in terms of subs. Thank you. And once again, thank you. So the way I'm doing this Q&A, and for those of you who might not know how I do the Q&As, if you go to the community tab of my channel, I usually post the questions for the Q&A on the community tab, as well as community responses. So just go to my channel, hit the community tab, and you'll see where I have all this. So you want to participate in the next one, you can. And the way I'm doing this one, I'm doing it based on the most comments and the most upvotes. That's how this one's set. So Sparky says, do you think Sasuke would give Sarada his eyes as a gift if he's about to die in Boruto? Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think that's gonna happen. Do I think there's a chance Sasuke's gonna die? Absolutely. I absolutely think that there's a very good chance Sasuke might die, because I mean, Boruto has Sasuke's cloak, he has his headband, he has his sword. I mean, that is possible. However, when you look at Sarada struggles to maintain a basic sharingan. If you give her the sharingan that Sasuke has, or if you give her even Sasuke's EMS, her chakra levels as they are right now, her stamina, she wouldn't even be able to open her eye up, because that's how poor Sarada's stamina is. It's something that she's building on. And when you get into the novel version of the story, I mean, Sarada in the Sasuke Shinden novel has a 3 Tomoe sharingan, so she's clearly getting stronger. But I don't think that by the time we get to the Boruto versus Kawaki fight, if Sasuke's dead, I don't think she can handle that level of boost. She's gonna need Hashirama cells or something. So I mean, that was a good question. I'm gonna give you your heart for that one. So Ichigo Kurosaki says, by the way, huge Bleach fan, but Ichigo Kurosaki says, so does Sasuke have all the powers of the Rinnegan or just a certain path? If he has all the powers of it, why doesn't he grow another arm from the Astra path or summon the thing with that Healy mouth? Okay, so to answer the first part, I've talked about this a few different times. So on the How Strong is Adult Sasuke video, I talk to you and I tell you guys that Sasuke has all 6 of the Rinnegan abilities. That isn't just me talking, that isn't headcanon. In the Naruto manga, in I think volume 70, either 70 or no, it wasn't 70, that's when the Sage of Six Paths mode Naruto debuted. So in volume 71, going into volume 72, somewhere around there, Sasuke says that he has all of the Rinnegan jutsu, that he knows how to use the jutsu, that he's mastered them. And when Masashi Kishimoto wrote Data Book 4, so not the Boruto character profiles, but the official Naruto data books for the Naruto manga written by Kishimoto, Kishimoto says that Sasuke has all the Rinnegan jutsu. And a big part of the reason why I don't think Sasuke used those paths in the Naruto manga and anime is Sasuke's well aware of the fact that Naruto took down Pain, and Pain had all of the 6 paths jutsu. So I think that's part of it. As far as why he doesn't have an arm, I also have a video going over that, talking about Sasuke's other missing arms. So I would highly recommend checking those videos out. Now, Tasha Joshin, and if I said your name wrong, I apologize, but the question is, this big question: Itachi told Sasuke that he didn't kill him during the Uchiha downfall because he was young and didn't know anything. But what about the others just as young as Sasuke? Why were they killed? They didn't know anything about the coup either. And was Sasuke the only young child of the Uchiha clan at that time? So to answer the last question, because you actually added a bunch of questions, but it's all related, so I'm gonna give you a pass on that one. But here's the thing. No, Sasuke wasn't the only young child in the Uchiha clan at that point. So yes, Sasuke did drag some baby out of the nursery and probably put a sword through him, or maybe gave him a gentle death via genjutsu like he did Izumi. But Danzo's orders were very specific. The only person who could live was Sasuke. In a video that should be up on the channel right now, I talk about Konoha's other Uchiha massacre plan. And in that video, I point out the fact that in that plan, you would have seen Hiruzen Sarutobi actually going through and having to kill young Uchiha babies who had nothing to do with it. Hiruzen did not shoot down that plan when Danzo gave the recommendation right in front of Itachi. That's one of the things that spurred Itachi to go see Danzo one-on-one after the fact. So I highly recommend checking out that video, because I touch on a lot of the stuff surrounding the events before the Uchiha massacre. Now, your other questions was what about the others as young as Sasuke? Again, that's collateral damage. Basically, for the better of Konoha, they decided that all those young ones, they had to go, because if they were allowed to live, you would have had a bunch of people who were garnering hatred much in the same way that Sasuke did. So I mean, that's part of the reason why. And even then, Danzo was basically planning on taking out Sasuke at some point. Like, that's the whole reason why Itachi even came back, in order to remind Danzo and the elders that nothing changed in their agreement. If anything happened to Sasuke, Itachi would leak secrets about Konoha out to the other great nations. Like, that's the whole thing there. So I hope I answered your question, and if you have more questions, I highly recommend checking out that Uchiha clan backup video that I was talking about the Konoha's other plan to massacre the Uchiha. So let's look at the next one. Jesus Soto, let me know if I said your name right. He says, how do you think Sarada will unlock her mangekyou sharingan? Now, on this one, I do think I have a video on this on my channel. I know for certain that I have one on Kryptonian Saiyan, and I know that Anime Balls Deep and myself have a video talking about Sarada's mangekyou sharingan. So I would say, I'm not trying to plug I'm not trying to plug, but I would say that if you want an in-depth answer, definitely look for that video on my channel or the Kryptonian Saiyan channel, which still has all the Naruto videos up, or look for it over on Anime Ball Steve's channel where I collaborated with him. But what I can say is that I do think that if Sarada awakens Mangekyou, the way I prefer it to happen would be for Sarada to awaken it in the aftermath of what happens during the Boruto versus Kwaki fight, because for her to see that mass loss of life and her dreams to become the Hokage and to see Konoha destroyed, I think that'd be very poetic. I think that'd be very poetic if she awakened it in that way, and essentially she worked towards being the Hokage to protect the Hidden Leaf Village using a power that's essentially cursed. So that's how I would have it happen. Let's see, Jalal Fernandez, gotta say this, also a really big Fairy Tail fan. If you're here from the Crypto Gang, if you are on Kryptonian Saiyan, you know that I'm a huge Fairy Tail fan. So, and by the way, let me know if you guys want Fairy Tail content on Kryptonian Saiyan. I might start a separate channel called Fairy Tail Explained, where I just do Fairy Tail content there. I got a lot to say about that series, and the format will be very similar to what you see here on the Naruto channel. So let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section. But Jalal asks, how strong do you think Sakura be if she went with Sasuke and trained with Orochimaru instead of Tsunade? Damn. You know what, man? All I'm gonna say is that Sakura will be really powerful, and you just gave me an idea for a what if. I had not considered that before that, man. I had not considered that. That is a huge game changer. Hell yes. I will be making that a what if. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but I'm definitely gonna try and have that done before the end of the year. You just gave me a beautiful what if idea, because I already got plot threads going through my head right now. Damn, dude. So Chidi number 1 says, so Madara praised Sasuke and said if only he was born before Obito, how would that change the story? So essentially, if Sasuke was born in Obito's place or born before Obito and Madara could get his hands on him, if we're still taking Sasuke as being the prodigy that he is, the ninja world's screwed. Okay, the ninja world is screwed because Sasuke's analytical skills on a completely different level. Like at this point, especially when you look at adult Sasuke at this point in the story, as of chapter 37, I would make a very strong argument that his analytical skills on a different level than Itachi's. Like Sasuke being Madara's puppet, that's the end of the ninja world. Like you ain't stopping that. I'm not being a Sasuke fanboy. I mean, I could make a video just talking about that. I might make a what if. I don't know. I might make a what if on that. So Shiden93 says, do you think Sakura might die and Sasuke will in turn lose his mind? Okay, so I do think that if somebody has to die from the previous generation, I do think that Sakura has enough goodwill as well as a lot of hate with Western fans, because Sakura is more loved in Japan than she is in the United States, and just in Western countries her popularity slipped. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent on it. Her popularity did slip towards the end of the Naruto manga. You could kill Sakura off if you don't kill Naruto or Sasuke, and you could get the great development with Sarada, and that would kind of tie back to what happened in Naruto Gaiden. I do think that that's possible, and if Sakura died, yes, Sasuke would lose his mind. I got a video I'm going to be working on talking about Sasuke's fears about losing his family. I'm actually remaking a video I did on Kryptonian Saiyan because I'm not as happy with the quality from the video on Kryptonian Saiyan, so just stay tuned for that because I do have some in-depth stuff to add to that. So let's see what the next one is. Spicy Shine asks, why didn't Jiraiya bring Nagato, Conan, and Yayiko back to the Hidden Leaf Village when they were little after the training? So the easy answer is probably plot. Hands down, is probably plot. Kishimoto was like, oh snap, I gotta explain why this guy becomes evil. Oh, can't bring him back to the Hidden Leaf Village. You know, why otherwise people would know that Jiraiya had a student with the Rinnegan. So that's the easy answer. That's a cop-out answer. The other answer, I think that at that point, because Jiraiya was doing this during the Second Great Ninja War, war was still going on. Like the Second Great Ninja War lasted long enough that Minato went from being an academy student to almost old enough to be a jonin for the Team 7 that was Obito and Kakashi and Rin, because the third Great Ninja War started a few years after the end of the second. So I mean, this was one of those things where that was a very long war. Like the first Great Ninja War lasted for, I believe, 20 years. The second Great Ninja War lasted a really long time as well. So I think that that's probably a reason why, is that it was during a time of war and Jiraiya showed them how to fend for themselves. I mean, Nagato had the Rinnegan there progressing at a very rapid rate. It's one of those things where Jiraiya's like, they're from this country, they need to fight to protect their own country. That's kind of how I viewed it. It's Vnox asks, do you think Sasuke and Naruto are gonna die soon? If you mean soon as in our timeline, like where we are now in real life, I don't think it's gonna happen in the next couple of years. If you mean in the Boruto timeline, definitely not in the manga, though I know some people are definitely thinking that because the Sasuke Resident novel, Kakashi Resident novel, and the upcoming Naruto Resident novel have Naruto with a deadly illness that the Sage of Six Paths had, which I've covered in a bunch of videos. But because a lot of people think Naruto might die, I don't think that's going to be a case. I think best case scenario is like Naruto gets cured. Worst case is Naruto has some type of illness that saps away his strength. But for the most part, nah, I don't think they're gonna die anytime soon. The newest Boruto manga chapter basically has a built-in excuse for how Naruto isn't killed. He's just sent in that dimension that the current fight in the manga is taking place in. So I don't want to go any further because I don't want to spoil the anime only viewers who are watching this video. So I don't think anytime soon. I do think that Sasuke, maybe if they want to push Boruto along, but I mean, Sasuke is on a second hero's journey, and I don't think Sasuke's hero's journey is done yet, so I don't think that that's going to happen. Chandler Puckett says, what if Itachi was still alive and he and Sasuke traded eyes? Would both of them get EMS? I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. EMS is one of those things where a lot of people have different interpretations of what we got in volume 42 when Itachi was explaining it, okay? Like, the way that I always interpreted it was because the eye has chakra in it, because we saw that with Obito, where Obito, after Kakashi got his eye, part of Obito's chakra was inside of Kakashi, and that's why Obito was able to go back to Kakashi from the grave and give Kakashi the double mangekyou sharingan. The way I always interpreted that scene where you see Itachi and there's this figure with 4 eyes, some people say that, oh, they just combine eyes. I always took it as in you just swap out the eyes and it combines the 2 mangekyou sharingan patterns because you have a molding of chakra. So in theory, if they switch eyes, if you go by that line of thinking, I guess it's possible. But here's the thing, even if that happened, I mean, Itachi was still gonna die regardless. I mean, the Sasuke Jinraiden novel, I think that came out like in 2012, and that's non-canon, by the way, but in the Sasuke Jinraiden novel, we find out a lot about Sasuke learning about Itachi's deadly sickness and just how crippling Itachi was, and just reading what Itachi's symptoms were and what's going on with Naruto in that Sasuke Resident novel is pretty fucking similar. It's actually pretty scary how similar that is, but that's just my thought on it. I might do a separate video on it. Kiko says, what are your predictions about the upcoming Naruto versus Jigen fight, and what role will Akashi and Koji play in it? Do you think we'll finally see some deaths? Well, because I'm actually recording this after the Boruto manga chapter is out, and mostly because I've had my nephew staying down here. My nephew, for those of you who follow me on Twitter, you guys know that my nephew, I think he was born, May 30th? So my nephew is May, June, July. I mean, he's not even 3 months old at this point, so he cries a lot. And just having to try and record with my nephew crying and my dog barking, not the ideal situation. So that's why you're seeing this so late. But in order to answer your question, I guess I can answer it in the sense of what was I expecting going forward. I did think that Kashi and Koji was going to be forced to make a play in order to prove loyalty to Jigen. I thought that we might actually see some type of hint towards his identity in this, because when Jigen showed up in chapter 36, that was one of those moments where Kashin Koji shat himself. So that's kind of what I was thinking, but I also said I thought maybe this would just be a brawl chapter and you'd see a bunch of panels with the Konoha, the next generation kind of showing up. So I mean, I got part of it, right? Not all of it. Let's see. Bushido Brown 954 says, our clan leader is like Hiyashi Hyuga Kage level? Dang, man, that's a good question. I will say this. The clan leaders, typically when you look at the Jonin Council, I mean, Hiyashi, Fugaku, Shino's dad, you saw a lot of them on the Jonin Council for like the main clans of Konoha. I'm split on that, man, because when you look at how powerful those characters are, I don't think that outside of Fugaku, any of them have the power that just determines that they're Kage level. I'd say they're probably high Jonin level. I think that's a good way to put it, you know, but you know, again, who am I to make tier lists about power scaling, right? Diddles 505 says, will Naruto ever do sexy jutsu again? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe in the Boruto manga we might see it because, you know, Kodachi likes to pay respect to a lot of the stuff that happened in Naruto, and Ikimoto might have fun drawing that because he drew a lot of Naruto shadow clones, and when Naruto used the sexy jutsu, he was actually doing that, so I kind of see that. But if we go by the Boruto light novel for Boruto Naruto the movie, when Boruto uses the sexy jutsu in order to escape after Konohamaru blows up that house using the scientific ninja tool, that was actually cut from the movie, by the way, but Boruto uses the sexy jutsu and he refers to it as Konohamaru Sensei sexy jutsu, so he doesn't even know his dad created it. But here's the thing, Naruto rips Boruto a new a-hole for that. So Hokage Naruto's too mature to use that type of jutsu. So I don't think we're gonna see that anytime soon. Let's see. Himawari99 says, what are you gonna do when Boruto is done and over? Are you gonna do something else? Hashtag Naruto explained. You know, that's actually a good segue. So I talked about earlier about how Kryptonian Saiyan was a variety channel. I talked about how I had plans to do a fairy tale channel, call that Fairy Tale Explained. Well, here's the thing. I'm very hesitant to start uploading Kryptonian Saiyan. I have videos done and I have the thumbnail. I guess you say it's PTSD from having lost that channel. I think what I'm gonna do, I think starting in September, matter of fact, I know, starting in September, I'm gonna start uploading videos on Kryptonian Saiyan again. I'm gonna talk about the same anime I liked to before. I'm gonna keep Naruto separate. So Naruto Explained is just gonna be Naruto content. And after Boruto's over, I mean, I'm still gonna make videos on it. Like, my love for the series isn't going anywhere. I mean, I'm still a fan of Dragon Ball, and you got Dragon Ball channels that continue to talk about Dragon Ball years after it ended. So, I mean, I don't think I'd stop talking about Naruto. I haven't even covered a fourth of the topics I want to cover. Now, Kryptonian Saiyan, I'm still gonna talk about all the anime. So, like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, just the different animes I like. I'm gonna talk about that there. Straw Hat Kryptonian Saiyan. I'm almost caught up with One Piece. I'll be doing One Piece content on that channel, similar to the same way that this one's done. And if on the off chance that when Boruto ends and I've covered everything I want to cover when it comes to Naruto lore, I'm probably gonna just triple down on that One Piece channel, because I started One Piece back in 2015 and just started going chapter by chapter by chapter reviewing it. And so I'm still new to One Piece. Like, I'm literally about to finish Whole Cake Island in the manga. Like, I haven't even got to where the story is now. So I mean, I'll probably focus on One Piece in the same way that I focused on Naruto. So that's probably what happened. But I hope that answers your question. Let's see. Dylan Hammer 4587 asks, why was Madara brought back much younger with Edo Tensei compared to the third Hokage, who was brought back much older? Okay, so Edo Tensei brings you back in your prime, but in the case of the third Hokage, that's a little bit different. So when Orochimaru used Edo Tensei and sacrificed the Zetsus, he released them from the Reaper Death Seal. Okay, so like the belly of the Reaper Death God. Now, when the third Hokage was sealed inside of there, the third Hokage's soul was essentially the soul of the old man. So that's why we didn't see Prime Hiruzen. That's why we saw the first Hokage. That's why we saw Tobirama, because while they were weaker versions of Edo Tensei when they were initially sealed, their souls were brought back from the Pure Land and they were sealed in there. Orochimaru just wasn't able to bring out the full power originally, but that's why you saw the first and second Hokage brought back in their primes and brought back at the state where they died at. So that's why you see them. That's why you see Minato. When Minato is brought back, he has the QB in him, because Minato sealed part of the QB inside of himself before he even finished the Reaper Death Seal. And so that's why when he went into the Reaper Death Seal, Minato comes out and he has the QB chakra mode, because before he died, before he was sealed into the belly of the Reaper Death God, he had all that inside of him. And so that's why you see that same thing with the third Hokage. When he died, he was an 80-year-old man. And so the version that gets brought back is an 80-year-old man. Whereas with Madara and all the other Edo Tensei, they're brought back in their prime because they're not in the belly of the Reaper Death God. I hope that answers your question. I get that a lot. Let's see. Corey Singleton asks, did Naruto smash Hinata with his 10th tail? I think it's safe to say he did, and I think it's safe to say he didn't pull out because he has 2 kids. Now, the question about whether or not he looks at Boruto sometimes and wonders, what if I would have pulled out? That remains to be seen, but I'm willing to bet that he smashed with the 10th tail. I'm willing to bet that the first time that Naruto smashed Hinata and he took his shirt off and all that other stuff, just got, you know, the ramen noodle doodle swinging all over the place, Hinata probably fainted, and Naruto said, nah, gotta wait till she wake up. I might catch me a charge. Same thing when he starts using shadow clones. Hinata seeing that many naked Narutos, that's gonna be too much for her. So nah, dog. I know I took that a little further, but you know, hey. Tien Brinkley asks, in your honest opinion, who would win this battle between Itachi and Sasuke or Minato and Naruto? You know what? Probably Minato and Naruto, if we're talking like the prime versions. And part of the reason is Minato's really fast. He's really fast, okay? Like KCM Naruto had speed that was like Minato's, okay? Like Minato's. But it wasn't just on that same level. I think Minato was a little bit faster. Again, they said like a yellow flash. But I mean, given the whole thing with Sage Mode, I'll just give them the buff. And especially if you go QB Chakra Minato, on top of that, Itachi gets stomped. Itachi in his prime is very strong. Very strong. I have a video talking about how strong is healthy Itachi, but I'll give the edge to the Uzumaki family. Okay, so, and again, I don't do power scale and I don't do versus battles, so, you know, say that for what it is. Okay, Miss Versace Goddess asks, which scene in Naruto or Boruto made you the most emotional? You know what, man? I'm going to strongly recommend going over to Kryptonian Saiyan and looking at my 5 saddest deaths in Naruto video. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the scene that screwed me up the most was when Jiraiya died. Because I remember when those chapters came out, I was hands down freaking the hell out, because I was like, at that point in the story, Jiraiya was my favorite character, and I was like, there's no way Kishimoto's gonna kill him off. And so when that happened, it tore me up. It's between Jiraiya dying and then later on, okay, when the manga was weekly, later on, if I'm not mistaken, it was roughly the same year. I want to say it was a few months later. Later on, Kakashi dies in the pain arc. Like, that screwed me up. That period in time screwed me up, because we got so many just hard-hitting moments, dude. Like, you had the whole reveal with Itachi being a double agent and Itachi being a spy, and then you had Jiraiya dying, and then you had Kakashi dying in the pain arc, and then Tsunade basically sacrificed herself for Konoha. Like, dude, when Naruto was at his peak, man, I about pulled my hair out reading the chapters on my tablet. So that's your answer. But again, highly recommend checking out my 5 saddest deaths in Naruto video on Kryptonian Saiyan. Matt asks, if Sasuke dies, will someone inherit his Rinnegan? If so, who should it be? If Sasuke dies, I think that Naruto should get it because Naruto's the only one who's strong enough to handle it. And let's be real for a second. Can you imagine how broken Naruto would be with Sage's 6 pass mode, then QB chakra mode, and Sasuke's Rinnegan? Holy crap, Naruto will be overpowered, dude. Jeffrey Rosa asked, if the 5th grade ninja war happens, would it be against Kar or the Sasuke clan? You know what? I've debated on talking about this because I think that it is possible for a 5th grade ninja war to happen. I don't think it's me either of those parties. I'll explain to you why. Everyone, for the most part, hates the Hidden Mist field trip arc, but there's a line in there where the Mizukage is talking, the current Mizukage and the former Mizukage, and they're talking and they say, well, you know, the feudal lord is worried about these different actions and it could lead to conflict between nations, so we need to come with a resolution. That shows the feudal lord still call all the shots. The Kage in each village, at the end of the day, they still answer to a feudal lord. And so if a feudal lord wills it to, you could have the villages go back at war. Or if one of these other villages breaks the treaty, you could see war break out. So it, like, even though we're at peace, there's still tension there. Like when you go back to the Mitsuki arc, the whole thing with the Tsuchikage and with so Kurasuchi and with Naruto, there was a little back and forth and there were lines that couldn't be crossed and there were steps that had to be taken. And when Kurasuchi is getting on to Onoiki and she's saying, like, you know, you creating these Akatas, this is going to be one of those things that could break the peace treaty that we have. So their peace is very fragile. They're working together, they're sharing intelligence. Shikamaru's running point on it. But if you go into the Shikamaru novel, the Shikamaru Shinen novel, in that one, Shikamaru is planning to kill Tsukage, and I might cover that in a future video, but he's planning to kill Tsukage, and he feels very comfortable and very confident in saying that he can take out 2 of the 5 Kage. So I mean, this is a very fragile piece. This is very fragile. So I think it might happen between the nations, but I mean, that's my thought. Okay, so Dio Fiona asks, is it possible that other Uchihas besides Sasuke or Sarada could be alive in the Boruto timeline? The only thing I'll say on that, I'll say no, but I will say this. It is possible if they want to do a retcon. If they want to say that there were some Uchiha who left the village during the time of Setsuna Uchiha, so that's basically the Uchiha who was planning to overthrow Tobirama, which I have a video on this channel talking about. If you want to say that some Uchiha left then during the First Great Ninja War and they've just repopulated somewhere else, that could be possible. That would be a retcon. They will have to explain it in order to not make it an ass pull, but it is something possible. Jake Styles asks, do you think Momoshiki will eventually take over Boruto's body and use Boruto's powers against the people he cares about, which will then connect with Momoshiki prophecy about the blue eyes taking everything away from you? So I have a couple videos on that about will Momoshiki's prophecy come true, and is Boruto gonna be Momoshiki's vessel? And so I would say watch those if you haven't, because I literally talk about those answers in those videos. But the short answer is, at this point, I don't think that we can take that off of the table. So thank you for the question. Will Mac asks, what the F goes on in the samurai lands in Naruto, powers, lore, etc.? That's a really good question. That's what I mean when I say that, like, the Naruto series has so much lore in it that Kishimoto didn't touch on all of it. He didn't touch on all of it. Like, it's one of those things where as you thought you were getting more answers, Kishimoto's just presenting more and more questions to you. And when you look at what he originally intended for the Naruto series and what Jump forced him to do, it's 2 completely different things. I've talked about this in the past before. Like, Kishimoto's original vision was to have Naruto and Team 7 travel to the different ninja villages and nations, much like how you see Boruto doing now, and interacting in those nations and meeting different rivals. And because the Land of Waves arc in the manga started taking off very, very quickly and Naruto's performing better than Shonen Jump, typically when this happens, you have one of those moments where, especially during the late 90s, okay, So essentially the time when I was growing up, during the late 90s, tournament arcs in Shonen, in particular in Shonen Jump, were very popular. It was something that they've been relying on since the 80s. And so they pushed the idea of the tuning exams on them. It was something that Kishimoto's editor, Yahigi, was strongly pushing because the higher ups were doing it. So that's why we got the tuning exams and all these different ninja from there. So if they would have went that route, and allowed Naruto to go to other different villages and nations, I think we could have found out more about the samurai. But I think that's a lost opportunity. And I know somebody's gonna say, well, they didn't make One Piece do that. Well, let you in on a little fun fact. One Piece, yeah, very popular when it came out, but sales-wise, One Piece did not start blowing up until Water 7 and Annie's Lobby. And then once that happened, the sales started ballooning. But at one point, the One Piece anime was in talks to get canceled, I believe, before Skypiea. You'll have to ask one of the One Piece channels on that, but because I've almost gotten caught up, I've been going back and researching the series so I can start doing discussions on Straw Hat, Kryptonian Saiyan. But at one point, the One Piece anime wasn't on the best legs. The manga, when you go back and look at the manga sales, the reason why volumes 1 through like 42 are like selling in tens of millions is because when Marineford came out, you had this very long period where every single manga volume of One Piece had like a 9 million% increase. So that's part of why you didn't see that tournament arc. And around the time that One Piece started peaking in popularity, what happened a few years later? You got Dressrosa, which was essentially a tournament arc mixed with adventure, where you had Luffy fighting in the Coliseum. I mean, so again, that's a Shonen Jump trope. That's a trope they push even to this day with My Hero Academia, with what goes on with the class Olympics and everything. So I mean, it's one of those things where if Jump didn't step in, we might have got more on the samurai. Indra Sasuke asks, if two Uchiha went blind from using mangekyou sharingan and they swapped eyes from each other, would they both get EMS? It's kind of the same question as before. It just falls on which line of the perspective that you like to think, because the manga wasn't overtly clear. Did you swap eyes? Were they combining eyes? We know the pattern combines, but that could be just because the chakra is combined from the two individuals. That's something that we don't have a definite answer on. It's headcanon at this point. Trevon Jenkins asks, what if Shisui didn't die and his plan went according to plan? Dog, I'ma say this. This Q&A should be out, I think, Sunday, no later than Tuesday. I'm recording this Thursday night, okay? Thursday night. So what if Shisui never died should be on the channel right now. So I highly recommend watching that video if you have not already. Your answer's in that. So Adon Wolf, and yo, shout out to Adon. I gotta say this, because when it comes to members of the crypto gang, I see so many of you guys commenting on the videos, and I thank you for your support. He's been with me for a very long time. I remember seeing this dude's comments on Kryptonian Saiyan. I mean, same thing with Betty, man. Like, you know, she actually sent a long ass email and messages with YouTube trying to help me get my channel back. I mean, like, I remember you guys, all of you who retweeted YouTube and everything, those who comment on the original channel. I remember a lot of you. When I see your profiles, I recognize them. So let's see. So do you think we'll get an info about the Senju and Uzumaki clans in the Boruto manga? I think that it'd be very smart if they touched on the Uzumaki clan in Boruto. I think it'd be very smart. I think it'd be a really good way to justifiably explain what the Karma Seal is, to have it tie in with the Sasuke clan and have more information about why the Uzumaki Seal and Jutsu was so crazy, and have Boruto learn those. I mean, I think that's possible. I think it'd be great writing, but I don't feel confident that that's gonna happen. So just as a side note, because I actually recorded almost an entire hour for this Q&A, I'm gonna break it up into probably like 30-40 minute intervals. So the first one might be between 30 and 40 minutes, and the second one might be another 20 minutes. I'm gonna break this Q&A up more than likely. If that's the case, I'll label it part 1 and part 2, or I'll just make it a separate Q&A so we can just keep the conversation going.